Hi, everybody. All of you out there that are scrubbing away, so enjoy the mitzvah. As we were learning in the other days of Tanya, that mitzvahs go up to the level of Atzilus no matter what, and actually affects all the gevuras that are up in Shemayim to Chasadim, so that Bezrat Hashem, as we're engaging in this most holy mitzvah of getting rid of the chametz, let's have a kavana that everybody else's chametz that is on the gevura side of their own personal, galus mentality should just be, changed to chasadim, avas Hashem, and yirat Hashem, and just everyone getting along better and better. Interesting, the last couple of days, I'm just going to make a real brief review of this whole inyan of matzah, and, why do we eat it before midnight, and why after midnight, and we were discussing from the Alter Rebbe's teaching that even if you look in the Chumash, there's such a, specific inyan of Pesach and eating matzah because we ran out and followed Hashem with total love of Hashem, and because of that, we showed such misras nefesh and we didn't know what we were going to eat. That's why we eat matzah. But if you look in the Torah, it says that we were commanded to eat matzah before that even happened. And in the Chumash, it says, in one place, regarding when we were commanded to eat matzos, it was matzos without a vav, the way it was spelled. And the second place, it was with a vav, meaning when they were running away and didn't have time to rise. And in the Chumash, it's written matzot with a vav. So the Alter Rebbe was explaining that these two different ways that it's spelled shows that there's two different levels of Avodas Hashem, one without a vav, the way the Jewish people were commanded. And we were saying, wouldn't you have eaten the matzot after seeing all those 10 makot? It's not such a big deal on their part after witnessing everything. So that level of eating matzah, we connected to Hashem, but it wasn't like it was drawing down such holiness into the world, and in comparison to when they, on their own, didn't know what they were going to eat and they ran away, from Mitzrayim, and that shows our misras nefesh level, and that has the power to bring down this godliness. So much so that it's beyond Seder Shtalshalut, as the pasuk continues and says that Hashem revealed to them the level of godliness, Melech Malchei Amlachim, and that is a level that is beyond the four worlds, because each reference to the king, the first one, King Melech, and the second one, Malachi, is 2, and Malachim is 2, and 2 and 2 is 4, and 1 is 5, which is higher than the four worlds, higher than the chain-like progression of godly light coming into this world, so that when we eat, not by command, meaning in everyday life, so God commanded us to give 10 to 20% tzedakah, so we do it. But then there's a case we already gave that amount, and we really don't have more. But there's someone knocking on our door, or someone who's really suffering, and you go beyond 20%, and it's like you're not commanded, and you do it with ahavat Hashem, with just a ratzon of wanting to please Hashem. So again, these types of mitzvahs, when we go the extra mile, when it's with misras nefesh, have the power to draw down such godliness more than when we're just commanded. Although that's a great thing when we do Hashem command, not to belittle it. So then we were learning yesterday that, well, if that's the case, we have to eat the matzah during the Seder before midnight. So what is it that is so, pressuring us to eat matzot before, chatzot? If there were these two different times, right? Eat matzah before midnight, after midnight. And the Inyan was, Alter Rebbe explained in Likutei Torah, that the matzot before 12 for the Yidden had to be done so that they would be able to reach the higher level of godliness. It had to go in a progressive state, one thing after another, and then they could receive it. For us, the Alter Rebbe says, we don't need to go through that progressive, step-by-step stage. We already could get the godliness of after Chatzot, Melech Malchei Amlachim, after midnight energy, before the Chatzot, because we have the Torah. So that's like we're showing Hashem how happy we are that He has allowed us to receive the Torah, so that we don't have to be like the Jews in Mitzrayim that had to wait till after Chatzot to get this revelation from Hashem, this revelation of the Or Ein Sof. We are able, as Pesach describes, to pass over this normal stage of development and get it before the midnight hour. So that's what we kind of did very briefly the last couple of days. And now we're going to look at the Sicha of the Rebbe regarding Shabbos Hagadol. And hopefully, after we learn this lesson, we're going to really apply it in our day-to-day life regarding our relationship with Hashem. And the Rebbe actually points out the story of Yosef. Father's coming to bless his children, and he's like, oh boy. He's putting the hand on the younger son, and I remember as a child how he favored me over my brothers, and it really caused a great problem. He's my father. I don't want to, first of all, tell him he did wrong. Second of all, I never told him what they did to me. The Rebbe says that Yosef was such a tzaddik, he didn't want his father to know what his brothers had done to him. So Yosef kept his mouth shut. So he's in a situation, and he has to somehow get across to his father, Daddy, I mean, I know you're the chacham, the tzaddik ador and everything, but do you know what my life was about? Because you gave me that special code, and because you treated me a little different than everyone else. It's not healthy. It's not good. And then the Rebbe actually points out that we really should not make distinctions between our children, because it's really not healthy. But he didn't want to say. He didn't want to be a tattletailer back then, and he didn't want to, show his father that he knew better, or put his father in a situation of shame from what he had done. So the Rebbe points out that how could he do it? By making an excuse. No, he's the older one. Meaning he tried to change the situation without opening his mouth and degrading his brothers, and at the same time without opening his mouth to affect his father in any way. And this is one of the main lessons of Shabbos Hagadol. The Rebbe's going to teach us of bringing down this concept of we know the Torah and the Jewish people came before the world. And every Jew is a powerhouse. Every Jew is a Shabbos. Because it's separated from all of the world. It's holy. So, what we have to try our best to do is dig deep within ourselves to not forget that every Jew is a Shabbos. So now we're going to go, that's like just a little hagdama on what the Rebbe is going to say. Every Jew is a Shabbos. It's so holy. Yeah. Shabbat. Yeah, that's what the Rebbe says, that every Jew is considered Shabbos. And so when we're, confronted with situations where they're so far from looking Shabbos, I mean, really acting in the most un-Shabbos way, that we still have to hold strong in our understanding that they are a Shabbos and respect every Jew. It's interesting, there was many stories that I've been reading, an Igus HaRamban by Rabbi Feuer, who does explanation of each pasuk. Maybe I'll bring out a little later to show you. It's here. Story after story of such gedolim respecting the most even insane people. This one insane person was putting this radio station very loud, and he was, I guess maybe who knows? He could have been having post-traumatic stress disorder from being in in the Vietnam War. But here he was in the shul during a shiur, putting this radio very loud, and he thought he was a high official in the army and the genius. So next thing you know, everybody was like, tell him to kick him out. What is he doing? It's the middle of a shiur, and everyone's getting very upset and very annoyed. But this rabbi, what did he do? He went over to him and he said, are you listening to military secrets? He goes, yes. Well, I think you better turn it off because none of us are privy to hear such secrets. The man turned it off. So he wasn't shamed, he wasn't embarrassed. The rabbi gave him respect and treated him in such a dignified way to prevent him from being, shamed. Other stories, story after story. It's unbelievable, so inspiring. Especially sometimes, when you're constantly bombarded and you feel like you're a bit harassed by this and by that, and every minute counts. Every second of stopping yourself from shaming them or feeling, that way is brachas ad bli dai. So we know that this Shabbos is called Shabbos HaGadol, the Great Shabbos, and it's from the Torah tradition and confirmed in Halacha. And we know it's called Shabbos HaGadol because there was a great miracle that occurred. So when the Goyim were seeing the Jews prepare for this Korban HaPesach, and then they told them, beware, your end might be very near, they got very upset. They went to their parents, and firstborns were not happy. And they themselves were doing the battle against their own family members. So now there's several questions. Now the halacha name is very precise. Shabbos HaGadol, the Great Shabbos. That means that there's something very great about this Shabbos. And what is affecting Shabbos by this miracle? That's another question. And why specifically to be commemorated on Shabbos rather than, what's usually during the procedure of a Jewish tradition, because it's usually the day of the month in which it occurred. And at this time, it was the 10th of Nisan. But one year, Shabbos HaGadol is on the 8th of Nisan. Another year, it's another date. So, now, first of all, let's look at the word Shabbos. He says, Shabbos normally conveys the idea of orderly completion of the days of creation, and it's usually a time of relaxation and rest. So, now he explained that there's like 3 phases in Shabbos, that each one coming closer and closer to that ultimate, like restful, pleasurable experience, right? There's the night of Shabbos, which is the beginning, but it's really close to all that hard work, right? You just like work the whole day, and Shabbos comes in, but you feel a bit tired. Like you feel not so far 2 minutes ago, like I was schlepping away, sweating and whatever. So Shabbos is here, but it's still close to the moment before there wasn't Shabbos. And you still have kind of a sense of the pre-Shabbos energy. So then he continues and he says, then like there's the morning of Shabbos, and so for women, we can really appreciate more. In the morning, do the dishes, do this and do that, so that the next Kiddush, it's still away from the day before of our work, but it's still the highest point in the Shabbos is Mincha time, because that is like total rest, total pleasure. Like it's connected to a lofty energy of having been so far away from the weekday, and really absorbing all that we got up till now on Shabbos. So it's a high point, Mincha. Yeah. So the fact that we're not celebrating this miracle on the day that it happened shows that because normally when a event is associated with the date of the month, this shows a change from natural to supernatural. So what greatness does this miracle add to this Shabbos, which gave it its name, a great Shabbos? First of all, this miracle of striking Egypt through the firstborn is different from all other miraculous events. Okay. Because normally miracles involve this drawing down of such a supernal spiritual light, and it comes from such a source above nature. But the miracle of the firstborn was specifically involved in the normal, natural order of things, even beyond Purim, the Rebbe says. Okay. Wow. More chasadim. Sweet. It's so funny. I was just reading, like, people connected to certain food are connected to their soul root. So someone who likes more spicy, it's more gvuradik. And someone who likes more sweet, it's because their source of their soul is more from a chesed side. So I'm like, yeah, so... Yeah, so what we said up till now was that we're learning a sikha of Shabbos HaGadol, and that the Rebbe is saying the year is 5745, volume 25. Tav, yeah, it actually was attached to that. And like there's a lot of questions to this Shabbos Hagadol. Why isn't it on the day that the miracle occurred when, you know, the Egyptians fought against their own family? And he's going to go into the detail of all these questions that we're asking regarding how it doesn't really make sense. The Egyptians got upset that the firstborns were going to be killed. So these firstborn went out and complained to their fathers, let the Jewish people go. But the fathers wouldn't listen. So the firstborns weren't so happy. So they started murdering one another. And people were being killed right and left. So the Goyim were, the Egyptians were killing Egyptians. Yeah, that happened even before the killing of the firstborn. Yes, that's the ness of Shabbat Hagadol. Because what? Yeah. Right. For 4 days and nothing happened. Yeah. But here in this Sikha, I'll read again. The firstborn then went to their parents and to Pharaoh to demand that the Jews be freed. They refused. The firstborn then battled with the other Egyptians and killed many of them. As it states, who struck Egypt through its firstborn? Because you can read that passage that Hashem killed the firstborn. But here you can title that through the firstborn killing their fathers and their family members. Okay, so let's come back here. Again, it says the explanation is that the miracle of striking Egypt through its firstborn is different from all other miraculous events because it wasn't, God striking down the firstborn. They themselves were striking each other. And that's within nature, just like the Purim the miracles of Purim was within nature. But this is even a higher level. So this was not directly related to the Jews necessarily, this miracle of striking the Egyptians, because they didn't really see so much of a benefit, for they still had to wait until after the 10th plague, which was the death of the firstborn to be freed. So this was a war of Egyptians against Egyptians. And this term of miracle does not really apply. Yes, the Rebbe says that there was a realignment of certain natural forces, and the firstborn of Egypt demanded the freedom of the Jews, yet it was a natural phenomenon. It wasn't a miracle. So again, what is this miracle if it was natural? Now, the esoteric reasons why we are commemorating this miracle and why we call this the day of Shabbos Hagadol, because of this remembrance of this battle of the firstborn, being amongst the Goyim, and it was within the world and within the physical nature, which actually is superior than even miracles. When something happens in such a natural way, in a way, the Rebbe is telling us it's superior than even a revealed miracle. And so this is why it's called Shabbos Hagadol, and it's the perfection of creation and nature, lifting nature to a level of such greatness, which is connected to Shabbos, because Shabbat is within the natural order of the 7 days of the week, and it's part of seven being nature. So that's why we're celebrating it on Shabbos, because Shabbos is not normal. It's Shabbos, but it's within nature. So the killing of the firstborn, within the killing of the family members of the Egyptians, is within the natural order, but it's not normal. Like, it's like so great. It's such a miracle. So that's why it's celebrated on Shabbos. But now he's going to say even more profoundly, just generally speaking, we know that Jews have the mitzvahs. And especially when the Jews were given the mitzvah of establishing the new month, Hashem told Moshe, this month shall be the chief month. And we know, halachically, if there are two witnesses that say, oh, we saw the moon, but really it was a mistake and it wasn't, it's still Rosh Chodesh. Because Jews are above nature. Jews have the power to transform even mitzvahs in that way. It will be Rosh Chodesh, according to what they said, even though it was a mistake. So we have the influence, we have the power to influence certain aspects of existence by our rulings, and this is a power that is miraculous and above the normal laws of nature. So we know the days of the week are connected to creation of the world, but the days of the month are according to the base din. So basically we're learning that how superior we are even to the natural order of things, because we can dictate when is the new month. And we have this power to create an entity or a presence in this world. Oh, this is my friend. Okay. Okay, so because he says the ruling of the court of the Beis Din is binding. You may fix the time of the new month and even the festivals. And if you err inadvertently, even if you err deliberately, even if you are misled. So no matter what the circumstance, you did it deliberately because you wanted to get back in time for your own wedding or whatever, like chas v'chalila, like that's it. It's set. And why is he bringing this out? Because to teach us the source of the Jewish souls is loftier and precedes everything. And in Hasidic parlance, two things came before the world: Torah and Israel. And, meaning the thought to create Israel came before everything, even before the Torah. That's why we, the Jew, can set the month, even beyond the rulings of the Torah. That shows how powerful we are, what koichos we have. And so we can change the reality of the world in a miraculous manner. For this reason, the establishment of the month and the intercalation of the calendar could be decided by a Jewish court. So now this idea is going to connect us to this Shabbos Hagadol. And it's going to bring illumination. The Jews were given the power to influence nature of the world. And similarly, through the calendar, we also have the power to influence the nature of the world and cause the firstborn to rise in rebellion against the power structure of Egypt. We just tied a lamb up. That's it. Woo-hoo, what a storm. Can you imagine? Let's go get a lamb now. Rabbi's teaching us, look how much power we had in just tying up a little lamb that the Egyptians were fighting with each other. So in the physical realm of the powers of Egypt, one force rose against the other and demanded the Jews be set free. So, just like a Jew has the power of creating the calendar and has the power to draw down spiritual forces into the world to make the holidays, that's Shabbos HaGadol. It was of a lowly nature where natural forces realigned themselves and demanded that freedom of Israel takes place. And this brought about the battle of the firstborn in Egypt against Egypt. So this theme of the great Shabbos has to be applied to our personal divine service. Now he's going to give us a wonderful hora'ah. Every Jew symbolizes the theme of Shabbos. And all your children shall be the learners of the Torah of Hashem. Coming from Yeshayahu. Being the disciples of God, we may be called Talmidei Chacham, which may be translated as pupil of the Chacham, meaning we are the source of ultimate wisdom. And the Zohar says that the Talmid Chacham is called Shabbos. We're all Talmidei Chachamim, and Talmid Chachamim are called Shabbos. Now, carrying this point further, the Rebbe says, Shabbos is holiness. Remember the Shabbos day and sanctify it. Wow. Remember the Shabbos and sanctify it. So many Yidden out there not acting in a Shabbos way. And let's sanctify them. By bringing them closer to Torah, by doing mitzvahim, by being patient with them, by treating them with respect. The Jewish nation was given the role of holiness, and you will be a kingdom of Kohanim and a holy nation to me. Hence, the existence of a Jew is Shabbos and holy, and he influences the world. So what do we learn from this great Shabbos? That our actions in the realm of Shabbos must increase and become great, because we go from Shabbos, and now we have a great Shabbos. So we've sanctified ourselves, we came closer to Torah for Baal Teshuvas, maybe we're even doing more mitzvahim than our own parents did, and learning sichas more than they did, and we're going from greater to greater to now even greater. Now we have to go from Shabbos to Shabbos Gadol. That's a lesson for us in our own avodah. As holy as we are within the numerical days of the 7, we have to get even in a higher and loftier level. And it says in Tehillim, they go from strength to strength. And as the Gemara adds, there's no respite in between, but a constant pulsation from a regular Shabbos to the special Shabbos. Just give you a cute incident that happened to me. I was so excited. I was bringing my Tanya books for children to the Ohel. Very excited. I'm presenting it to the Rebbe. I went to the Ohel, and there in the video, the Rebbe said this man was giving and presenting his books to the Rebbe. And in the video, the Rebbe said, well, what about your unpublished work? Like, give me a second. Like, I just published it, and you're already, like, saying, what about your unpublished work? Here on the video. That was in the video. And that was, I felt like, for sure, the Rebbe's giving me, like, a hora'ah. Like, you know, don't waste your time. No, chasuliya, but, like, all right, now what is the next one already? Like, there's no stopping here. Go forward. Yeah, he would say, right. And it's interesting, when I was going through this publication of the book, I maybe have mentioned it before, but I had done these 2 books, and it didn't occur to me. These books were written a long time ago, like, I don't know, 8-10 years ago. It was for my son. My son kept wanting it as a book as he was a child, and I was making these stories up as I was teaching him, you know, mitzvahs, like the books are, you know, he loved falafel ball, he loved fish, or whatever he loved, I would make these stories. And so anyways, I'm like, the 2 books are finished, and I was like, wait a minute, I can't produce these 2 books. I want to produce a Tanya book. If anything, these are passé. I mean, they're good, but, like, it'll be a Genai on Tanya. If I'm going to produce a children's book, I want a children's book on Tanya. So I like, drew a circle, and I remember it was, like, on Shabbos, and I'm like, it hit me that I can't produce these books. And I said, I'm going to daven that Hashem make a miracle happen, because I'm not producing these books until an idea comes to me for this next Tanya book that I'm going to write. And the publisher was ready to take it and go with it. And I'm like, I'm going to now make her wait, and how long it's going to take, I don't know. I don't care. I'm not producing these books until I have an idea. After I finished davening, the idea came to me. And then, Motzei Shabbat, I wrote it quickly till like 4 in the morning. 4 in the morning, I ended writing it, like in a way to say, thank you, Hashem. And then after I did it, I'm like, am I crazy? What, 3 books? I mean, I can't even come up with the $20,000. Now I'm going to have to come up with $30,000 to do this? Oh, my goodness. I'm like, so I opened the Igris, and the Igris read, I'm so happy you're continuing in your holy writing. And like the Ner of Hanukkah, it should go from another one to another one, like saying that it's okay, you did 2, you'll do 3. And I'm sending you a personal check to cover the cost. I got the check. In a miraculous Baal Shem Tov way. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. After, if you want, I'll tell you some of the miracles. But we'll get back to Shabbos HaGadol. Meaning there's no respite. Go 1, 2, 3, and going from holiness to more holiness and more holiness. So, so now Shabbos HaGadol also has several levels and aspects to it, similarly to every Shabbos. Just like every Shabbos, again, we mentioned earlier, there's Friday night, and it's, and then leading to Shabbos day, and leading to the peak, because the most repose on Shabbos, which is not specifically related to any kind of previous work, is the ultimate perfection and relaxation and pleasure, comes at midday of Shabbos at the time of Mincha, called the time of utmost pleasure, which brings the revelation of all the esoteric and essential pleasures, even if you're not feeling it. On each level, there must be an increase. So each level of the Shabbos, within Shabbos, we're increasing. So even within the increase of Shabbos HaGadol, we're increasing. Just like we're increasing in the regular Shabbos. How much more so? And we have to bring pleasure into the Shabbos on all 3 levels. So on each stage during the normal Shabbos, we increase our joy and pleasure, and then we have more power is enhanced from that on Shabbos, and then it really makes it a Shabbos HaGadol. How much more so we're going to do it this Shabbos HaGadol. And in fact, just like Shabbos receives and is considered malchus, it's considered like a vessel. We're receiving every work of effort to prepare for Shabbos, but only on not only on a physical sense, but in a spiritual sense, right? You bought the candles and the beef and the this and all day long and every day, and you're increasing your preparation, finally Shabbos. But also those who prepared have what to eat. So on a spiritual level, those who prepare spiritually the whole week, learning the Parsha, doing your Tehillim, your Tefillas, your Chesed, your Tzedakah, the refinement of your Neshama, finally Shabbos come and you worked hard preparing your soul to be able, whatever you did the whole week will be poured into Shabbos. But what's great about Shabbos is whatever you do on Shabbos then pours into the next coming week, so you have greater power to prepare for the next Shabbos, spiritually speaking. So how much more so Shabbos HaGadol? Whatever we're doing now until Shabbos HaGadol to prepare ourselves by learning this, by doing the preparations, of course, of Pesach, how much more so we're going to have like this keli, this vessel, this level of malchus pouring into that day to give us spiritual nourishment for the whole year. Because this is the Shabbos HaGadol that's going to pour in to all the other days of the week till the next Shabbos HaGadol. So the lesson of Shabbos HaGadol is to have a good influence on the entire year, since Shabbos is both a benefactor and a beneficiary when it comes to the good influence and blessings of the week, then by increasing our divine service on Shabbos HaGadol, it'll increase our influence the whole year. And through the good work we will do all year, we will raise the level of Shabbos HaGadol for the upcoming Shabbos HaGadol. So this also should be applied as well to engender good influence on others. Some people don't see themselves as a Shabbos Jew. They're worldly Jews. And you try to explain it to them, and they're like, I'm not a Shabbos Jew. I'm a worldly Jew. But we are a kingdom of Kohanim and a holy nation. We are the role of Shabbos, even during the weekday. And even when we're involved in mundane and temporal matters. And that mode was not just any old Shabbos, but Shabbos HaGadol. And you cannot excuse yourself from this responsibility saying, I'm a Shabbos Jew, and that's it. And then while weekday matters, it's a different thing. Because every Jew is Shabbos, and every Jew has to be uncovered, their Shabbos in them. And even though it's concealed. So, when you reach such a level of realization that you are Shabbos HaGadol, the Rebbe says, you must realize that your mission in this world is to reveal the Shabbos of every Jew. Now, you could take that in two ways. One, by going out and helping a Jew that isn't so Shabbos to help them reveal their Shabbos. But at the same time, when you're dealing with someone who's not Shabbos, but reveal it in him, and then don't treat him like he's not a Shabbos. You reveal it. You know he's a Shabbos inside. So treat him like a Shabbos. And by the way, that will help him reveal his own Shabbos. There's so many, even scientific studies that have shown how positive thoughts on other people have such an effect of bringing out that positivity in them. But we learn from our own teachings of our holy rabbis that say our positive thoughts, for instance, having compassion on them. We, for years and years, have been studying this in my class. The Le'avram asher pada es Yaakov, that when we Le'Yaakov asher pada es Avram, when we have a compassionate, Yaakov represents Tiferet. Tiferet represents compassion. When we have compassion on them, that they're not a Shabbos Jew yet. Their Shabbos should come out already out of them. That has the power to reveal, pada is to redeem, the Avraham in them. The chesed, the love of Hashem that they do have. It's buried. It's there. So we might not feel so comfortable to like go out on Mitzrayim, ask, are you a Jew or you're not Jew? But we'll realize, it's, or maybe we can't do it so long or so often. But at least in our interactions with the people who aren't as Shabbos like we think they should be, reveal the Shabbos in them, act toward them, and respect them. For really as if they're already revealing this level of holiness. And the Rabbi says, hopefully this message will hit the mark in one's personal attitudes and relations to others. And when there will be words from the heart, they will penetrate the heart and accomplish their mission. And he says that just like when Hashem showed wonders, like the days when we left Egypt, we will experience Bezrat Hashem future miracles that will be considered as wonders compared to the miracles of the Exodus. Now I want to skip a little forward. We don't have so much time, but I was so moved by the Rebbe. If we have time, we'll go back, but Where is it? Okay. So he says a person might have, like, his life is pretty good in exile. He might have even reached this level of Shabbos. He's like really learning sichos of the Rebbes, and he's davening with like a chassid should daven with his laivos, and everything is like he's really reached the Shabbos. But and it's really good for him in the diaspora. He studies and observes his mitzvahs in comfort. But really, how can he rest and be quiet while the true and complete redemption has not come? Why is he not hollering? We want Mashiach now. What value are all his pleasures of the world compared to the complete redemption? Whom have I in heaven, and besides you I wish for nothing on earth. This is a Tehillim. Or as the Alter Rebbe expressed it, I want nothing. I not even want your Gan Eden. I don't even want your Olam Haba. I don't even want anything. All I want is you alone, Hashem. And this is our call for Mashiach now. The longing for the revelation of the essence, which will happen with the coming of Mashiach. And we might talk one another, in a formal way, talking about Yiddishkeit and so forth. We might want to do it in a conventional formality, to act like a gentleman. Nevertheless, in these times, it's necessary to shout, Mashiach! So if I don't do it ever again, at least I did it one time, because that's what the Rebbe wants us to do. And it says here, he wants us to shout Mashiach now. It says even if a person wants to feel like he's doing something in a gentleman-like manner, the Rebbe is saying we need this shouting to awaken the sympathetic resonance within the other Jew to also want Mashiach, because he really does want Mashiach. The problem is that only his inner soul is so covered and clogged that the dust must be brushed off. And he too then will shout Mashiach now. By screaming it, it'll dust him off, as it were. It'll shake him up. And the real essence of who he is will come out. And he gives the story of the shliach that went to go visit someone. I guess maybe he was going to go get a donation, or maybe he was just going to teach him. And all of a sudden, the man got a little, he had to go get something, and he comes back real quickly, and the shliach's davening. He was so offended and shocked him as such a rude, person. Excuse yourself. Ask, just do that without, how rude. So he was so shocked. He said, how unconventional, uncivilized, and unintellectual conduct this is. He was so annoyed. So eventually, this startled this unobservant Jew, and it actually caused a religious quantum leap, which placed him in a different mental path. And eventually, this is what brought him to Yiddishkeit, and he became observant through this experience of seeing this man be uncivilized and not acting like a gentleman. And so we don't have to right now in this generation think about the the importance of politeness and all this stuff. Go out and shout. We want Mashiach now. And yes, and you will strike a respondent chord. But there are people from the outside that come here to shul. I don't know, maybe they read this slicha of the Rebbe that's saying, shout. And he says, although we are in the darkness of Gullus, God puts an end to the darkness, and we will see the light and the true and complete redemption through our righteous Mashiach. Interesting, I was having a discussion with my friend regarding acting like a wild woman in, weddings and be b'simcha, and she was like, I don't know, maybe that's too much. And it's not like whatever. I'm like, I'm going to double make sure. I've asked before, but I want to ask again, like just to reassure that this is really good. I mean, I've read it in different places where it's such a holy thing to dance at a wedding and make them happy because it's drawing down like such chokhmah and wisdom to the couple, like, and plus I'm really happy. And that's the time to really show it. But so I asked my rabbi, and I said, maybe, it's not so dignified, a woman and, the tznius issue, although it's, separate, but, sometimes waiters, who knows, and even, could be videoed, he goes, ad rabba, which means even more, like it's so good. So, like, because, I teach, it's 770, I'm a therapist. I mean, you can all put all these different things on top of you to say it's not dignified to dance like that in a wedding, whatever, or halachically, sneeze, whatever. But simcha poretz geder, simcha brings down such holiness into the world. And when my rabbi said that, I was like, woohoo! Can't wait to the next wedding, because it's always in the back of my mind, like Rabbi Guzinski. He's my Rav. I mean, I do have Rabbi Shvei as my Rav here, but they're both my Ravs because many times I can't hold him, and I need sometimes guidance in the counseling I do for people. So anyway, Ad Rabba, we want Mashiach now, and let the world know, and bring it out. And as best we can, let's bring this level of wanting Mashiach to a Shabbos Gadol level of koichas, to elevate it and to go forward and do whatever we can to bring out the Shabbos in another Jew, and in the meantime, treat them like a Shabbos HaGadol, because we all are Shabbos. So have a beautiful, beautiful Shabbos HaGadol. Do whatever you can to remind yourself of the Sicha, and that we can draw it to our life, like throughout the whole year. And thank you for hanging on and letting me record this so everyone could hear. I'm sorry the other classes were not recorded. I think yes. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. And remember, keep shining by smiling as you're shining those tile floors and getting rid of the chametz.